be a different place.
Right.
So, yeah.
What's the place for you?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great one because I have a go-to spot. It's
Really?
the Starbucks Reserve at the Empire State Building.
Oh, actually, I didn't know. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Starbucks, isn't it at the Empire K-Town?
It is there to review what you learn, and you can't review if there are no questions. Know that your notes are not art, right?
Right. That A+ is art.
Yeah.
The notes are not art.
In the end of the day, it's all about results.
Hello, everyone. I'm Benji. Welcome back to my channel. And this is my friend Will. He's from Colombia. And right now, as you guys know, I study at NYU. Yeah. And I think we do have a very good sort of academic performance, I would say, right? A lot of people has been asking me since I was on the bilingual podcast, how I study for high school. And, I really worked hard for it, but there's a lot of things that you have to do strategically. It's not just about putting time into studying, right? So I have my friend here, friend Will here, to share some study tips that he uses as well. Will, what do you use to study the most, and how do you study for your exams?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ben. And first, you have amazing track record coming from high school, and I appreciate it. Making it to undergrad in America.
Yeah,
it just gets harder. That's the truth. That's the reality. And with all of the flexibility of having classes and projects that are no longer fixed like back in high school, I think first important tool to use is time management apps. For me, I go with the basics, the Google Calendar, having those time blocks, and I think that's the first step. Because professors, right, they're also comfortable using it, especially if you have the same university email, having the office hours. I think a lot of high school students, they're not aware that in university you don't get to meet your professors like you do back in high school with your teachers. You have to ask for the office hours or meet with the TAs.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's kind of the first advice that I would give that really helped with my productivity. And the second one for study tips is know where you do your best work. In high school, you only have limited spaces such as the library or your classroom. In university, your study spot can be at a cafe. Right. It can be in your bedroom. It can be at a public library. You name it, they got it, right? So know where you do your best work, and it can change. For example, if you do projects with your classmates, then it can be a different place.
Right. So, what's the place for you?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great one because I have a go-to spot. It's the Starbucks Reserve at the Empire State Building.
Oh, actually, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Starbucks, isn't it at the Empire K-Town?
It is.
That's a lot of people then.
It is in the Empire State Building itself. It's quiet, peaceful, and it's about the atmosphere, right? You see this color tone that brings peace and also silence. And at the same time, there's a good ambient music playing in the background.
That helps a lot?
It helps a lot.
I see.
And also how do I put it? For me personally, it's the scent of coffee. Having that scent, I don't know, it heightens my senses and helps me focus. Yeah. I go for my whiskey barrel, cold brew.
Yeah.
That really helped me get in the zone. With that cup of coffee and my studies, it just flow.
Oh, I thought you were doing a caffeine detox or something, right?
Yeah, fairly recently.
I'm
referring back to when I have these focus sessions to study on.
I think Will brings up really good points, the study environment and time management. It really matters a lot. For me, it's actually kind of different because I have to study in a place where there's a lot of things going on. Right. I used to study back in my home, there's this supermarket near my house. I always go there for study. There's just a table there. I just when people are shopping, I literally just study there because I can't focus in a very quiet environment.
Oh, I
see.
Even
here, man, I play Netflix series on the wall with my projector. Yeah. So that I could focus. It's actually pretty ironic, right?
I mean, actually, if it works for you, why not, right? Go for it. We are wired differently, and that's interesting.
True.
I'm learning from you as much as you're learning from me.
Dude, that's so interesting though. I think I also use Google Calendar, Recently, I switched to Time Tree, which is also a great app. You guys can check it out as well. I think another, for me personally, it's just putting the time and effort, right? Because, you know, I think I had ADHD growing up, and then so it's really hard for me to focus. I might just scroll on my phone, right, you know, for hours for simply like rewarding myself for 10 minutes of studying, which is not a good thing, by the way.
It's also hard, like having your phone, like also at the same time, like you work with your phone. Right? It's hard, it sucks, and like how do I put it? We have everything we need on our phones, and now like when we're actually studying, we notice that even more. Yeah.
It's so important, yet it's so distracting at the same time. So I think another thing is always take notes. But I think people get like the wrong sort of impression on taking notes. It's not just like writing on your notebook. I don't even write on my notebook, by the way. I use like an AI tool that basically records the lecture's audio and then it transcribes it into like notebook forms.
That's
like
so efficient.
Bullet point.
If you think about it, right? Like back in the day when we're starting out,
you don't do that, right?
We don't do that.
You do like the
there are
writing.
No AI
right?
tools. We have to rely on like the jotting down with bullet points, and even using the iPad with good notes. Like that itself.
That's a new thing?
That was a new thing.
That
was a new thing.
That's
with
a
the
new
iPad
thing.
and the Apple Pencil.
Wow, man.
Now AI, that's just a new approach to like productivity.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think also, don't you think it kind of differs a lot between undergrad and high school? Because in high school, I did not use the AI apps at all.
It didn't exist back then.
It didn't exist back then.
Exist back then.
Yeah. So, I mean, in college, I'm just using these AI tools and I'm doing fairly well in classes. I think a thing that Taiwanese people struggle a lot is if they want to apply to like foreign colleges, you need SAT scores, but they come from a background where English is not their first language.
Right.
So it's really hard for them to study these like SAT subjects in English.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people, you know, I think, oh, dude, cram schools in Taiwan make so much money off of just simply teaching English and SAT and TOEFL, like these exams. Khan Academy offers really good resources for you to practice your English.
And another thing, like I recently learned is Duolingo.
Duolingo,
that is replacing TOEFL, like IELTS, right? The standard English test. Now, like if you want to apply to US universities, some universities they accept it as the standard. Like through the
Duolingo,
Duolingo, like I used that. It worked for me.
I'm buying their stocks now.
Yeah.
Are they even IPO'd? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
I'll check it out later.
That's another way to learn if you don't want to spend a lot of money with these like private tutors. Like there are results.
Dude, I think private tutors are, I mean, if you're financially capable of hiring a private tutor, then of course go for it. But, you know, coming from a person who has never been tutored before, I intentionally told my parents I don't want to be tutored,
right,
because it's such an inefficient way, because you're doing the same class twice, right? Essentially, like people have these like 2-hour tutoring sessions when their classes are just 1 hour long. Like what are you gonna fit in that, right? So I think a lot of these tutors, they just stall time. They make you do practice problems, which you could do by yourself, and you can find better quality practice problems online. You don't need the tutor to make them for you, right? SAT prep is, in my opinion, it's a waste of money. If you go to these tutoring agencies for SATs, they just charge you a lot for simply offering you resources that could just be found online.
Building on the point about how, like, I agree that you have your class from your school, and then like after school you have these tutors. It's like you're taking double the workload. Like,
exactly.
About like learning and productivity, back to the topic where we started off, is that you need that headspace. You know, that's how our brain works. If we have that headspace, taking those breaks is also adding efficiency to your productivity and your study flow. And these tutors, they're more about getting their reputation. If you think about it, if you're actually a student who wants to learn for itself, there are tools out there like resources such as Khan Academy. Now, like there are a lot of like AI tools. It's just like
all free.
It's at another level, all free. And also, like I really appreciate how you mentioned that you like to study yourself first. that also prepares you for your undergraduate. Like in university, no one's like, holding your hand, like having that practice early in high school. That is a really great way to get ahead. You have to figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. If, like tutoring works for a certain type of student, then why not? And if they have the financial support. But like back to the point where like Ben is a great example of like, if you are willing and able to study on your own, that will help you in high school, that will help you for your college prep, and that will help you in undergrad. Because that's the way how things work in America. It's all about being independent, taking your responsibility, being proactive, reaching out to your professor, your TAs.
Right, yeah.
Like, yeah, you got to be the one like asking, reaching out, right? Yeah.
I think in general, I think you're just better off studying by yourself. And the way you study by yourself, everything that's going to be covered on the test, I'm sure it's going to be in the class unless you have a very weird teacher or school.
Right.
Just listen during class, man, because I always do that. I think growing up, I wasn't the valedictorian, but I could always ensure my grade was within the 90 to 100% range. I listen mostly during class.
And also like talk to your teachers.
Yeah.
I think that's another way to learn and be productive. Productivity is not always about efficiency. It's about how you find different ways to learn. I think for me growing up, back to your point, is that be a good listener and also engage. Talk to your teachers. Like during class, don't hesitate to ask questions on the spot, right? Like in Asia, we hesitate to ask questions because we don't want to quote unquote give off the wrong answer. But like in America, when you're here for your undergrad or here for other reasons, you gotta ask questions. And it's okay to interrupt the teacher or the professor. Also after school, after class, like meeting your teacher one-on-one, I think having that FaceTime really help with your learning process, and you kind of like know where to work on.
Such a good point. I have a question for you. How do you usually listen during class though? Because I think, do you take notes or you just go back home and then review everything on that day, or do you do it like after a day or two?
So like just going back to in person, it's like first make eye contact with your teacher or professor. Try to follow through, and then like listen to how they emphasize certain words and phrases. If they are repeating that, look out for that. Write that down word for word, because they're telling you that it's important. And then like back to the point about note taking, what I do is I would have a Cornell note style.
For those who don't understand, would you mind explaining what a Cornell note is?
So simply put, Cornell notes, you draw a line down your paper. Left hand side, the margins are narrower. The right hand side, the margins are wider. So you take your notes on the right hand side first. It can be in bullet points, it can be sentences, whatever works best for you. And then at the end of the class, you write a summary. After the class is over, you write a summary. At the bottom, you draw a line. It will be like a box. And then you write the summary in a short paragraph format. Could be 3 to 4 sentences to like kind of solidify your learning at the end of your class. Go back to the narrow margin on the left hand side. That's where you either write the topics that the teacher discussed or write questions to remind you of the answers, right? My approach is notes are there to review what you learn, and you can't review if there are no questions. Right, it's guiding your learning process, guiding you what topics are important, and like these questions really help. Know that your notes are not art, right? It's not meant to look pretty all the time.
That A+ is art.
The
notes are not art.
In the end of the day, it's all about results. Like, did you learn? Are you able to ask critical questions to your teacher and answer these complex questions?
Well, thank you so much, Will, for sharing all these experiences.
I'm happy to. These are the things that I grew up with, I struggle with myself, and it's very relatable.
Very nice. Thank you. And thank you for watching this video. Let us know what you think in the comment section, and we're going to see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
如果你也想成为下一位爆红创作者，请打开下方资讯栏链接，一起来投稿吧。